Hello, Podheads, and welcome back to another episode of Over My Dead Pod. I'm Kylie Colwell,
This is Kate Carter.
and it's just the two of us today. Holly is busy networking,
Sometimes you just have to work.
which is unfortunate.
So unfortunate. Thank you for all your listeners for listening to us. So hopefully one day we don't have to do regular jobs.
So, I have an oldie for you today, but a very important one. This case was called the crime of the century all the way back in 1927.
Jesus Christ. So here's my thing, Kylie. I'm not gonna lie. Last week you hyped us up on this. You said it was gonna be a good story. I'm excited. I came in very excited today. That's an old story, and it's not like you. That I would say this is like a Holly story anytime I hear that kind of timeline.
And honestly, props to her because going back through the archives was quite grueling.
Yeah, I don't know how you guys do that.
Autism. Even though this is called the crime of the century, no one could have known all the atrocities that come to this world, but this case was truly shocking and had everyone freaked out due to how brutal it was. And I hyped you guys up because this is like something out of like a Law and Order SVU episode.
Oh,
But trigger warning for everyone. It's a hard listen, but especially because the victim was only 12 years old. Her name was Frances Marion Parker. Frances Marion Parker went by her middle name Marion, so that's what I'm going to call her throughout this episode. She was born on October 11th, 1915, in Los Angeles, California, where she lived with her dad, Perry, mom, Geraldine, her older brother, Perry Jr., and her twin sister, Marjorie. The family was the typical middle class family for the time. Dad, Perry, worked as a cashier at the First National Bank. Mom, Geraldine, stayed home and cared for the kids and the house. Marion was known to be a little shy, quiet, and the small one in comparison to her twin Marjorie. And that's really all I could figure out about the family because this was before social media.
I'm glad you were able to like even find that out because sometimes there's stories that I hear or cover and I'm like, I don't know if they had siblings. Couldn't tell you anything.
Don't know if they had a life before
Yep,
this.
no idea.
Nope. But let's get into it. The date is December 15th, 1927. Everyone is getting ready for the holidays. The kids were having Christmas parties in their classes before school let out for the break. Dad Perry had stayed home from work because it was actually his 48th birthday. So he's like, you know what? I'm just going to take the day off and chill at home. Little did he know this would be one of the worst days of his life. That day, an unknown man walked into Mount Vernon Junior High School and walked up to the registrar, Mary Holt. The man explained that he was an employee of Perry Parker at the bank, and Perry had been in a car accident, and he had asked to see his younger daughter. Mary Holt was confused. They were twins. So she said, "Which one?" And the man responded with, "The small one." So I guess the man sensed that Mary Holt wasn't just going to let Marion leave with him. So he offered up the bank's business card, saying she could call the bank to confirm this information. Mary Holt later told police and reporters that the man seemed very sincere, confident, so she let him check out Marion from school. As Marion left with this unknown man, her twin sister Marjorie watched on from the window, confused. And this was the last time Marion was seen alive by a loved one. Marion was promptly reported as missing after she failed to come home after school and after her parents talked to the school. I will say throughout this whole story, police were on it, which I was not expecting for 1927. Posters immediately went up with Marion's picture, reports were broadcast on the radio, and everyone began knocking on doors. And police already had a theory on day one. The kidnapper must know the family, but not very well. He knew Perry worked at that one specific bank, and he had the bank business card, but he didn't seem to know that Marion was a twin. As the searches were going into the second day, the Parker family started receiving telegrams at their door. And I did have to look up how telegrams work. So I will explain because I can't be the only one. Do you know, Kate?
It's just a piece of mail.
Yeah. So, but you, instead of like writing out a letter and mailing it, you would go to a telegram office, like Western Union was a
Yeah.
telegram office. You tell them like what your message is, or you'd write it out. Or if you're sending it further away, you like pay per word. They would type it up. They'd call another office if it was further away, and then they'd deliver it. So,
It's like, like when you get flowers delivered and they ask you for that card, and then sometimes they write the card.
yes.
That's what I feel like a telegram is like. Like somebody
Exactly.
else, you tell somebody the message and they go and do it.
Exactly. So phones did exist at this time, but this was kind of like their version of emails. So it was a little quicker than snail mail. So the first telegram arrives at the house and it said, quote, do positively nothing till you receive special delivery letter, end quote. And a special delivery letter was like an urgent telegram. And next to arrive was the special delivery letter reading, quote, dear daddy and mother, I wish I could come home. I think I'll die if I have to be like this much longer. Won't someone tell me why all this had to happen to me? Daddy, please do what this man tells you, or he'll kill me if you don't. Your loving daughter, Marion Parker. P.S. Please, Daddy, I want to come home tonight. End quote. Also, the entire time I was reading these telegrams, and there's a bunch more, I was wondering the people at the telegram office either wrote these down, read them, and then delivered them and didn't think
Right.
twice about it.
I wonder, honestly, they didn't have phone tracking. So it's not like they could be like, who's saying this? Tell me your phone number and your address.
We know the guy who's sending these telegrams walked into these Western Union offices.
Oh,
So he's standing right there and he's telling them, or he has it already right now. Yeah,
huh.
I'm sending out ransom letters for a girl I kidnapped. Can you send the letter? And they're like, okay.
All right. That's a company that minds their business.
Two more telegrams came in on the 16th, demanding $1,500 and $20 gold certificates in exchange for Marion's safe return. And this would be about $27,000 in today's money. Each of the telegrams had different signatures. The first was signed George Fox, and the second was signed Fate, with the Greek word for death written on the top. After the telegrams, phone calls started to come in, and the kidnapper wanted to meet up to get his money. He wanted Perry, and just Perry, to bring the money to 10th Street and Gramercy Place. Police, of course, didn't want Perry to go to this exchange, but eventually they agreed to it as long as they followed him. And Dad Perry had the bright idea to write down the serial numbers for each of the bills to be tracked later. He packed them into a bag and headed towards the meetup spot. After waiting for hours, it was clear that the kidnapper was not going to show up. Little did Perry and the police know, but the kidnapper had seen Perry being followed by the police and bailed. The next day, the 17th, the telegrams and phone calls continued to roll in, scolding Perry over involving the police and all of the media attention. The kidnapper also said the clock was ticking. One telegram read, quote, fulfilling these terms with the transfer of the currency will secure the return of the girl. Failure to comply with these requests means no one will ever see the girl again, except the angels in heaven. The affair must end one way or another within 3 days, 72 hours. You will receive further notice, end quote. Another read, quote, Fox is my name. Very sly, you know. Set no traps. I'll watch for them. Get this straight. Remember that life hangs by a thread. I have a Gillette ready and am able to handle the situation, end quote. And this one was signed Fate.
What does he mean he has a Gillette ready?
I think just the razor.
Gillette went back to 19. You know what? Actually, I don't want to say anything dumb because that might actually be a very old company and I just have no idea.
You would be surprised how long these people have been around.
Yeah, that's true. It's like 100 years ago.
Damn, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So, after a few phone calls, a plan was set. Perry was to meet up with a kidnapper on the corner of West 5th Street and South Manhattan Place in central LA. And this time, Perry didn't tell the police. He didn't want to scare the kidnapper off again. Around 8 p.m., Perry arrived at the location with the money, and the kidnapper pulled up beside him in a Chrysler coupe a few minutes later. Immediately, the kidnapper pointed a sawed-off shotgun at Perry, telling him to drop the bag of money. The kidnapper had explained he would grab the money, and then Marion would be handed over. Perry couldn't get a good look at the kidnapper because he had a bandana or a towel covering most of his face, but he could see Marion, who was sitting in the passenger seat. Perry called out to his daughter, but she didn't respond. He assumed she had been drugged or maybe just terrified because her eyes were open and she was staring forward. He went ahead and handed over the money. The kidnapper got back into his car, started driving forward, and then pushed Marion out of the passenger side before speeding off. As he did, he allegedly yelled out, quote, there's your daughter, end quote.
Oh.
Perry ran over to grab Marion, and he quickly realized the worst outcome had come true. Marion was dead. Not only that, she was missing her arms and legs.
I'm sorry. What?
It gets worse.
Oh no.
More trigger warnings. So an autopsy began right away, and the coroner determined that Marion Parker had been deceased for around 12 hours. And this is a really sad fact. This means that she was alive during the first attempted exchange.
Oh. So there was a potential. Well, we don't know. We don't know if there was a potential. We could hope. Well, I don't know.
Does that make it worse?
I don't know.
Yeah. Like I said, her arms and legs had been cut off, and they were not with her when found. So her torso and basically had been wrapped in like towels and clothes, and the arms and legs were not in there. Marion's eyes had been sewn open with thread. A wire was around her neck and forehead used to prop her head up. Even worse, Marion had been disemboweled. All of her organs and her torso had been removed and replaced with a towel and a men's t-shirt.
What? She was like,
That's why I say this is like something out of a TV show or movie. Like you got creepy ransom telegrams, you have whatever the hell he did to her.
you also like, she had been dead, they said for 12, like, so the person did this all within 12 hours.
Yes.
That's nuts.
The following morning, very early, a man walking in Elysian Park found Marion's severed arms and legs. They had been wrapped in newspaper and just thrown onto the street.
I don't think I was ready for this story. I don't think this is what I think I was maybe expecting you covering like a big like news story that we knew or something. Not a child being dismembered and brutally killed and given back to her parents.
I'm sorry, but there is a point to this. There's a point to
Okay.
it.
All
There's a
right.
couple points to this.
Okay.
And I did decide to cover this because I literally couldn't find much about it. So I was like, someone has to cover this case.
Love it. Yeah, that's true.
So that was a lot, but now the hunt was on to find this son of a bitch. And I think this is another reason why this was called the crime of the century, because an insane amount of law enforcement were working on the case. All across California, there were over 20,000 police officers working this case.
They were like, let's do this.
That must have been every single police officer.
I can only imagine.
Another 12,000 American Legion members joined, along with the fire departments and even the United States Secret Service. It was full-blown panic. It was all everyone was talking about. It was all over the radio and the news. Even Mexico closed their border to the US out of fear that the fox would try to escape there.
Oh, this was like big time.
You know how much it takes to close a whole border?
Yes. This is like pre-media. So the word getting out is nuts.
It was just radio.
I wonder if it was just maybe at the time not much was going. Well, actually, no. This was 1927, or was that when she was born?
This is 1927.
There was shit happening in the world in 1927. So I was going to say maybe this was the only thing happening and like it was a big story.
I gotta look up when was World War One. Okay, this is between the world wars.
Oh,
So we had some downtime.
okay. Some downtime. We're so stupid.
Law enforcement announced a reward of $50,000 for the killer, dead or alive. And with the public's help, the reward reached $100,000, which is almost $2 million today, accounting for inflation. And this was raised like within a couple days.
Yeah, there had to be nothing going on at this time because you don't hear of anything $2 million this day.
No.
That's nuts.
So the mass hysteria did help, and tips came in, and they were actually super helpful. The car the killer drove was found abandoned a few days later, and surprise, surprise, it had been reported stolen before Marion had been abducted. Investigators were able to pull a couple fingerprints from the car door, though. A block away from where Marion was dumped, a local resident found a discarded suitcase filled with blood-soaked papers. Also inside was a spool of thread, which was found to match the thread used on Marion's eyes. Citizens also called in a bunch of suspected sightings based on the description and sketches handed out. With Mary Holt and twin Marjorie's help, the killer was able to be narrowed down to a white male, 25 to 30 years old, 5'8", slender build, and with dark brown wavy hair. And you may think this would fit a lot of people in the LA area, and you are correct. A local dentist named Earl Smith was brought in based on the tips and quickly cleared. Another man named Lewis Wyatt was pulled off a bus in Las Vegas and interviewed after people called in saying he matched the description and was headed out of town. One guy was arrested 7 times in 8 hours, each time being cleared, released, and then another cop would see him and arrest him again.
That's unfortunate.
He ended up asking the police to just keep him in jail until the real
Yeah.
killer would be found.
I get that. I'd be the same way. I'm like, I'm not doing this again.
Nope, and they did. And
Okay.
they also held another guy who had been severely beaten by a mob, thinking he was the killer.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, this guy did end up hanging himself in the jail.
Oh, okay. Don't know how I feel about that one.
I guess he did not have much hope that the police would find the right guy, which is very sad. The registrar, Mary Holt, did confirm that all of these guys were not the one. And with such a broad description and all these tips coming in and them arresting everybody, other investigative tools needed to be used. It turns out the towel stuffed inside of Marion had a tag saying Bellevue Arms Apartments. Investigators quickly descended upon the apartment complex and interviewed basically every tenant there, asking if they heard or saw anything, or if they knew of another tenant matching the killer's description. The landlord did know of one guy, Donald Evans. The janitor also said he saw Donald carrying several packages to a Chrysler coupe on the night of the 16th. And on the 17th, he was cleaning the car. But Donald wasn't currently home. And surprise, surprise, there were no records of Donald Evans.
Of course.
So clearly a fake name, but things were moving fast. Only 3 days after Marion's murder, the fingerprints found on the car came back with a match. And I don't know how they matched it so fast without computers. I just like imagine them flipping through a book and like looking at them side by side.
I don't think I trust that very much.
No,
No.
but it worked. The fingerprints were a match to a man named William Edward Hickman. And I'll put it on screen if you're watching on YouTube. The police immediately released a wanted poster for William, and they had his mugshot, and they also put his fingerprints on the poster so that other police departments would be able to confirm his identity quickly, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool, but like the fingerprints to me, just eye based, like vision based. That's hard. That's hard.
Yeah, I feel like you would need to double, triple check.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe quadruple.
So, who is our suspected perpetrator? Mr. Hickman was only 19 at the time, so a little younger than what the witnesses described, but he was known to the police. He was from Kansas City, where, despite being a scholastic scholar, he had a hobby of being a petty thief. In Kansas City, he befriended a younger guy named Welby Hunt, and the two moved to Los Angeles in 1926, living with Welby's grandparents. William and Welby kept up with their thievery in LA, and the two got jobs at seemingly a great place to steal money from, a bank, the First National Bank of Los Angeles. And if you caught that, that is where Dad Perry Parker worked. The year before all of this, Perry had actually reported William for stealing and forging checks.
Oh.
William was convicted based on Perry's report and sentenced to probation. After his probation was over, William moved back to Kansas City, but he slowly creeped his way back to LA 6 months before the murder. But he was gone again, and police couldn't find him in the LA area. They put out a be on the lookout, or BOLO, for a green Hudson car that had been reported stolen. I'm not exactly sure how they connected it to William, but they did, and it worked. Immediately, police were getting calls about this car and William. People were reporting sightings all over the country, as far away as New York City. On December 31st, the first more likely spotting came in. A gas station attendant in Albany, Oregon reported seeing William way back on the morning of the 20th. He said William came in and purchased 10 gallons of gas for a green Hudson, and he was wearing a dark blue suit and Oxford shoes. A store in Seattle said William came in on the evening of the 21st and purchased some clothes. And luckily, they had kept those $20 gold certificates. And even more luckily, because Perry Parker had written down the serial numbers, police were able to match that they were the ones that Perry handed over. Which props to Perry, because I don't think police were thinking about writing down the serial numbers.
No, that's actually really smart.
Then at 6:30 a.m. on December 22nd, a gas station owner in Portland called local police to say William had just purchased gas there and he drove out east. Immediately, a swarm of officers descended upon the gas station, with others stationed along the road headed east out of Portland. Eventually, they were able to locate the green car, but William was not going to go down easy, and he led officers on a chase for over 2 miles before finally pulling over and being arrested. The car's California license plates had been replaced with Washington plates that had been stolen out of Olympia. Inside the car was $1,400 in gold certificates, a sawed-off shotgun, and a handgun. As William was being placed into the back of the police cruiser, he allegedly told the arresting officer that, quote, "Some friend killed her. I don't know who he is," end quote. On the other hand, he also said he only did it to pay for Bible college back in Kansas City. He's a good Christian man.
Yeah, and his friend whose name he doesn't know is the one that did it.
The friends will come back up.
Oh, Lord.
So Mr. Hickman was taken and detained at the Umatilla County Jail in Pendleton, Oregon, awaiting extradition back to California. Like I said earlier, this crime and now arrest were huge news, and the officers in Oregon wanted a piece of this publicity. They would pull William out of his cell and have him stand by the window, or they'd even like open the door to the jail so that people outside, like the large crowds of people outside, could get a look at him and take pictures of him. Like it was like a circus show.
Love it. I would have been outside.
We don't have much else to do back then.
100%. 100
Yeah.
years ago. What are you doing?
You want to go see the child murdered at the jail now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like Ripley's Believe It or Not, real in person.
The Oregon officers also wanted to interrogate him and get a confession, which William sort of ended up giving. He confessed to walking into the school and kidnapping Marion. He also confessed to sending the telegrams and making the phone calls, but according to William, he did not kill Marion. He said that 2 brothers, Oliver and Frank Kramer, murdered her. His only job was to get Marion to them for a piece of the ransom money. So investigators are like, okay, who are these Kramer brothers? Turns out one of their girlfriends lived in that Bellevue Arms apartment near William, and that is how he was introduced to them. And by introduced, I mean he heard about them. He never actually met the Kramer brothers because they had both been in prison for months leading up to the kidnapping and murder. So they were definitely not involved.
How did he think he was going to get away with that?
I don't know. Apparently he heard from one of their girlfriends that they were criminals or something. I don't know. He didn't think to ask, or he just forgot that they were in prison. And so he's like, oh, they're criminals. Police will
Name
believe me.
drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
William was also adamant that Marion had not been murdered in his apartment, and the captain of the Pendleton Police Department released a public statement saying there was no way that was true. There was a plethora of evidence pointing to the fact that Marion had been killed there. Eventually, William was extradited back to Los Angeles on an overnight train and guarded by armed security to avoid the public trying to get their hands on him. Once in the LA interrogation room, William didn't talk about Marion. In fact, he confessed to a different murder. On Christmas Eve in 1926, William and his little crime buddy, Welby Hunt, walked into a pharmacy to rob it at gunpoint. And I think at this time, Welby is like 14 or 15 years old.
Oh, a child.
Yes.
Okay.
Police were called and showed up during the robbery, exchanging gunfire back and forth. And caught in the crossfire was the pharmacist, 24-year-old Clarence Toms. Clarence had been shot in the stomach and ended up passing from his injuries. A police officer had also been shot in the hand, but recovered. It had been determined that the bullet that struck Clarence came from the robber's shotgun, not the police officers. Unfortunately, William and Welby were able to escape, and we now know they laid low for a bit after this, picking up those jobs at the bank shortly after. So with this confession, interrogators were like, okay, great, thanks for that information, but what about Marion Parker? And William stuck to his story. The Kramer brothers did it. And I don't know why police didn't immediately, they kind of like held out on this information, but they're like, okay, the Kramer brothers weren't involved. They were in prison the whole time. And William was like, oh shit, oops. So then he decided he would confess, and he wrote out a 19-page confession.
Oh, we have a writer.
A little writer, and he described in great detail exactly what he had done to Marion. So I'm going to describe some of what he did. It is very gruesome, just a heads up. According to William, after taking Marion out of school, he took her to the movies, and he just kind of kept her in his apartment as he started sending out the first telegrams. He confirmed that Marion was alive during the first attempted money exchange, but after that, he realized Marion could identify him. So he took her back to his apartment, blindfolded her, and tied her up to a chair. William then used a dish towel to strangle Marion until she was unconscious. After this, he took her limp body and hung her upside down over his bathtub. He methodically cut her jugular vein in her neck, draining all of her blood down into the tub. Next, he started to cut off her arms and legs. In one part of his written confession, William described how Marion's body jerked so hard it, quote, flew out of the tub, end quote, so he had to retie her back up. And investigators believe that this suggests Marion might have still been alive when he started cutting into her. Yeah, it's a rough one.
I like gruesome stories. Just don't think I was mentally prepared today. I was thinking that too when he hung her upside down, she was unconscious, and then the whole jugular thing. I was like, I wonder if she was still actually alive and not dead yet, because she was draining, basically. Horrific way to go.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
But once tied back up, William then disemboweled her, meaning he took out all of her organs and replaced them with towels and shirts. He wrapped the cut off limbs in newspapers and put Marion's torso in a suitcase. After that, William then went and saw another movie at the movie theater.
Oh.
And he wrote in his little confession that he couldn't even focus on the movie because he was crying the whole time.
Oh,
Boo.
sympathy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, boo fucking who?
Yeah. Just going into detail, but he hung her upside down from the shower. The shower head, because that's really that's pretty strong.
No, I don't know if he oh, it's gross to think about rigged something up. I don't know. On the ceiling.
Had to.
So after the movie, William went back to his apartment, sewed Marion's eyes open, and put makeup on her so that she would appear to be alive. In his attempt to make everyone feel better, William ended his confession with this, quote, "She felt perfectly safe, and the tragedy was so sudden and unexpected that I'm sure she never actually suffered through the whole affair, except for a little sobbing, which she couldn't keep back for her father and mother," end quote.
No, that actually doesn't make me feel better.
Not at all.
And suffocation, he suffocated her with a rat. That's not a quick and easy way to go. The person knows they're being suffocated.
No, even if you fall unconscious and then your jugular vein is cut, that's enough to wake you up.
You're draining. No, it was not a quick way to go. It was very painful. She was an innocent little baby. Boo hoo. Like you said, boo fucking who.
Boo fucking who, William?
Yeah, fuck you, William. Cut that out if you want to.
I'm not cutting that out.
All right.
But luckily, back in the day, the criminal justice system moved a lot faster than it does today. Marion was murdered on December 17th, 1927. William was arrested on the 22nd. And by February 1928, the trial and sentencing had concluded. Now, this would take 10 years. One of the reasons why I want to talk about this case, because this trial was actually the very first time a defendant had pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity in California, which they only started allowing the year before.
Oh, so it was very recent.
Very recent.
Interesting. And I always love when these types of cases go to court.
So William claimed that this wasn't his idea or doing, but that he was under the direction of a god called Providence. William also claimed that as a child, his grandfather would take him to exorcisms, which exposed him to demons. He did undergo psychological testing, and wouldn't you know it, the psychologist said he was not insane in the slightest. The psychologist had this to say, quote, "He told a straight, coherent story and was never at a loss for words. There was nothing about him to indicate insanity. He says that he does not like girls, that he is deeply religious, and that his ambition was to become a minister. Several times he made mention of God," end quote. And the nail in the coffin for this defense actually came from the prison guards all the way back in Oregon to travel down to LA, and they testified that on several occasions while in Oregon, William asked the guards to tell him how to act crazy.
William, I don't think you're the smartest.
Not at all.
No.
So he's not mentally insane, and the psychologist also said that this wasn't a sexual thing. So the prosecution laid out why he did this. It was all revenge against Marion's dad, Perry, for having him arrested for those forged checks, which is insane. Reports said that William had been caught stealing $400. He did all of this for $400. The trial itself was also a spectacle. Everyone across the country wanted to attend. There were mobs of people outside trying to get in. The judge himself actually had like a ticketing system. You had to have a ticket to get in, and he gave away tickets to celebrities, his wife and her friends, and his little political friends that would help out his career. After 43 minutes of deliberation, the jury rejected William Hickman's insanity defense and found him guilty of the murder of Marion Parker. He was officially sentenced to death. William did appeal this to the California Supreme Court, who, thank God, upheld the decision. The following month, in March of 1928, William and Welby Hunt were both convicted in the first-degree murder of the pharmacist Clarence Toms, and they both received life sentences. On October 19th, 1928, less than 2 years after kidnapping and murdering Marion Parker, William was executed. And this is back in the day before lethal injections. They did it the old-fashioned way, hanging.
So cool.
So William was brought down from his cell into the gallows of San Quentin Prison, a very famous prison. The guards put a noose around his neck and opened the trap door under his feet. According to witnesses, William had hit his head on the door as it opened. He twitched and jerked for 2 minutes straight before being declared dead. A later autopsy showed that his neck didn't break, and his cause of death was asphyxia, meaning his death wasn't quick and painless like it was intended to be.
Good. Also, 2 minutes isn't a lot.
No, literally the next line in my script was, maybe that was for the best.
Yep.
Welby Hunt was released on parole in March of 1939, and he passed away in 1995 at the age of 84. I think part of the reason he was released early was because I think he was only 14 or 15 at the time of that Clarence Toms was murdered. But maybe he shouldn't have been let out, because there's another death in Welby and William's circle, one that neither were arrested or tried for. On May 24th, 1927, Welby's grandfather was found dead beneath a bridge in Pasadena. The day before being found, he had withdrawn an unknown but large amount of money from his bank account, none of which has ever been located. Another weird thing was that Welby's grandpa apparently left behind 5 different suicide notes, and when investigators got all 5 notes, they quickly realized that the notes had been written by at least 2 different people. Why would someone write a suicide note for another person? Why would one person write 5 different notes to leave with their body? Where was the money? Makes you wonder. As for little Marion Parker, she was buried at the famous Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California, after a private service. After her death, the Parker family moved out of their home and stayed out of the public's eye. Now in this age, there are no surviving immediate family members. While not a super popular or well-covered case, the story of Marion Parker lives on, not only as the crime of the century, but also in music. Have you ever heard of murder ballads?
No.
Very interesting fun fact for the day. So it's a subgenre of folk music that basically just outlines the whole details of crimes, mainly murders.
Wait, would we like it?
On the Wikipedia page for murder ballads, you know that song Jennifer Lawrence sings in the Hunger Games? That's considered a murder ballad.
Oh my God, one of my favorite songs.
Great song.
It's a great song.
The murder of Marion Parker was a big topic for these songs, and as early as 1928, there were several songs released about her case.
Hers is a little rough, though. I don't know how I feel about that.
No. This little interesting fact to end on, but that is all I have for you on the story of Marion Parker, an unfortunate pawn taken by an evil man, all as revenge for his own crimes.
That was some rough shit.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'll be okay. But that was definitely, I want to look and see pictures of them.
It's weird. There's more pictures of William because of all the pictures of him at the jail than there is of Marion.
Okay, you want to jump into overtime?
Let's do it.
So I saw on our notes list that you almost died.
Yes, and I wish Holly was here because this is all Holly's fault.
Oh, great. Love it. Actually, I'm happy she's not here because now you can just blame it all on her.
Yes, without repercussions.
Yeah.
She'll hear this when she's editing.
There you go.
So
is she editing this one?
She edits audio, so she's gonna call me and be like, what the Anyways. So I think this stems back, obviously, we went to Denver the Denver airport, there's a lot of conspiracy theories. And I was like, okay, whatever. But since we've been to Denver, me and Holly have both been cursed.
Yeah. I'm actually a little worried. Holly's hella cursed. So whatever you're about to say, I'm really hoping, things come in threes. So I'm not excited about that.
Well, the first one, I don't think I've said it on the pod. I got detained at TSA trying to get back to Tampa.
I didn't know that.
I texted you guys while it was happening.
Did you? Did I see it? What happened?
I think you were already on the plane.
Oh, okay. What happened?
Get through TSA. I get up there and, they take your ID and they take your little picture. And I'm standing there. He's taking my picture over and over again. And he's like, one more time. And then he was like, your name doesn't match your boarding pass.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay, I do remember this. I do remember this.
Yes. I was like,
which this is hella annoying because you were at Denver. And for those people who have not flown through Denver ever before, the security is whack. It's a lot. So to have to go out of line.
He gave me a fast pass. He's like, go back to ticketing, go figure it out. You can use this pass to skip the line. I was like, okay.
Oh.
But he wouldn't tell me what the problem with my name was. He just wrote on the paper name check. So I go back to ticketing. God bless the little lady at United Airlines desk. And I was like, I need help. And she was like, it matches your ID. I was like, okay. She comes with me back up to TSA with my little fast pass.
She came with you?
Yeah, she was so
That's
sweet.
really sweet.
So sweet. She goes up there and the guy was like, no, it doesn't match. And he wouldn't tell us what the problem was. So we got pulled aside, me and the United lady, little duo, right? Finally, we're in a room. And then another guy comes in, I guess the manager of the TSA. And he's like, because I took a look at it. The problem is there's 2 spaces between your first and middle name on your boarding pass instead of 1.
That right there, let me just tell you, because I normally am traveling with a child. If I was even without a child, if I was standing up there and you went through all that hassle and that's what it was.
Also, I got there somehow.
Right.
It was a round trip ticket.
Right. And that's not your fault. You're not the one that does that.
No. So whenever I would go back to ticketing, delete the space, I go back in line. You know what? I get up there, don't even have to take my laptop out. Don't even have to take my shoes off. I don't even have to go in the body scanner. I just go through a regular x-ray thing. So that's all fine, but the space was the problem. Fuck. Okay. Anyway.
Right.
Whatever. I get on the plane. Crazy turbulence. One of the bathrooms is down. The guy besides me throwing up the whole time. It was a fucking nightmare. Anyways, Holly can talk about her curses.
I forgot about the throwing up too.
Yesterday, this is why it's Holly's fault. I had some stuff printed out for her bachelorette trip at the Office Depot. So I went to go pick it up. And the only reason I went yesterday was because Holly said she was busy and she couldn't record. And so we we're going to record today, Thursday. Wouldn't you know it, Holly also couldn't make it Thursday. So we could have recorded yesterday and I could have gone to Office Depot today.
That's what I was thinking about that too.
So this is all Holly's fault.
Yes. Holly, listen up.
Halfway to Office Depot, which is on the other side of town, flash flooding. My car starts floating down the road, Keith.
No, it doesn't. Your tiny little car. See, Kylie, this is why we don't do little cars.
After this, I think I'm going to get like a lifted Jeep.
First of all, I could totally see you in a Jeep. I could see you more so in a Bronco.
I don't think I have Bronco money, but I would like that.
But I would love a Bronco too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, once you go big, you don't go back.
Wink, wink. So the Office Depot was maybe 20 minutes away. The whole ordeal, it was over 2 hours. I finally got to the Office Depot and it's still downpouring. I sat in the parking lot for 40 minutes. I couldn't drive anywhere. And that was all Holly's fault.
It was all Holly. Yep. For those that don't know, we're currently 2 weeks away, 2 weeks today.
Yeah.
From Holly's bachelorette, which is very exciting because our girl is getting married in November. And we're very excited for the wedding. That'll be a lot of fun. The bachelorette, as stressful as any bachelorette has been.
Thank God I don't have very many friends, and I'm hoping this is the last one.
Yeah, because I'll say for us, I've been through my own bachelorette, and that was something. I actually don't know if I've ever been to a bachelorette that went easy. It's gonna be fun because Kylie and I took over planning it. So Holly, you might be hearing that for the first time, but it's gonna be great.
Yes, Kate and I have decided we're gonna quit our jobs and we're gonna start a party planning business because we have planned this whole entire thing in 48 hours.
I would like to say, actually, Holly owes it. Holly, you owe us big time. We planned Holly's engagement
in 48 hours.
In 48 hours. We planned Holly's bachelorette in 48 hours. Mm-hmm. We actually are very hands off on the wedding, but we'll be there 48 hours in advance. So if anything happens, Holly, let us know. We got you. We know all the places in town.
We could plan a whole separate wedding if the first one falls through.
Easy. Find a location and everything.
Oh, we got it.
Yeah, we should actually. I love party planning, and Kylee and I actually work well. I think we work better under stress. Because if you gave me more time, then I think I would stress myself out.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's such limited time, we're like, we got to get shit done.
Oh no, the adrenaline of, oh my God, this needs to
What?
get done. I will
Yeah.
knock it out and it will be great.
Yes. Oh, it's gonna be fucking amazing.
Guys, we made the cutest stuff.
It's great. We can't say much because Holly has no idea about anything bachelorette wise. But once the bachelorette's done, we'll tell you more about it.
Oh, we'll have a whole bachelorette recap.
Yeah. And proposal recap. I feel like we didn't do that. It was phenomenal. That might be our best setup that we've done. So yeah, we're party planners, podcasters, legal by day, party planners by night.
I think our party planning business should just be like emergency ones.
Yes. 72 hours and under.
Because then if it's last minute, we can charge more.
Right. We'd have to come up with a fun name.
Yes.
It
Okay.
couldn't be Over My Dead Pod.
Unfortunately not.
I don't think that would work out. Right.
All right, guys, we're gonna go brainstorm and put together a business plan. If you want to invest, slide into our DMs. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Over My Dead Pod. We'll see you next week with another case. I think it'll be Kate's turn. Make sure you subscribe so you get a notification. Like, review, all the things. Follow us on social media at Over My Dead Pod. If you notice, we're now verified on Instagram. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.